This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Go Big Blue, go Giants. Go Big Blue, New York Giants.
God, it's great to be a Cowboy, isn't it? This is how we do stuff. This is the Cowboys. We're trying to do stuff. Be a leader. It's time to lead the football team. It's time. It's your time.
It's our time right now. 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 It's our time.
He was a Giant, and he was a Cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
What's going on, Jim?
Ooh, it is a lot going on. Hot topic.
Hot topics.
Yeah, there is hot topics. I was looking at the internet, and the first thing that popped in my eyes was Jerry Jones. I was looking on Twitter,
Yeah.
and there were 1,000 tweets about Jerry Jones. I'm like, what's going on? Well, supposedly, allegedly, he got a lady pregnant in the 90s, and she had a daughter, and they made a settlement that they could never expose that he was the dad.
Wow.
And now she is suing him, saying it is not enforceable to have the daughter, and saying it's not enforceable to her. It was only to her mom. And I don't know. It's going to go to court. It's going to be crazy.
Wow.
But, you know, when you got $1 billion, you give her a couple million and it'll be over. Unfortunately.
That's interesting, man. Sometimes those old traps come back to hunt you.
Yeah. And they told this is really another mark on the NFL, because you had the things with Robert Kraft, now this, and obviously the things that went on in Washington and Miami and things of that nature. There's always something going on.
Paying the coaches to lose games, paying the coaches to lose games.
I know.
I tell you, it's a lot going on with the owners.
Wow. And they talk about the players, talking about that, Calvin Ridley. Ridley, we thought he was out and worried about his mental health. Shoot. Yeah. He was out there gambling.
He was betting on wins.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and he bet on. They said he betted on the Falcons.
Yeah.
So there's been 5 players suspended for a year for gambling.
Okay.
And they were all suspended. Some, like the Paul Hornings, Alice Karras, the Art Sleecer, and guys of that. But
right.
It's kind of like, say, do what I say, not what I do, because the NFL now is promoting gambling, and it's scary. You open up a Pandora's box.
Yeah. It kind of hurt the integrity of the game. You guys not there to play for what the purpose of the game is all made of. The best people win without cheating. And
yes.
And there's a lot of integrity, because a lot of little kids are looking up to you and emulating you and want to be like you, and being a role model to so many, and it just ties into to the goodwill of men and doing the right thing. So they need to address this really, really quick.
Yeah, and the thing I look at, to be honest with you, is, like you said, the integrity of the game. But I would think, in my opinion, it'd be more difficult to throw a game as a player in the NFL or on a football team in other sports. It would have to be a position, maybe a running back or a quarterback. on defense, I couldn't imagine how could you do it, because maybe as a receiver you could drop a pass, but for on a defense, I don't know, maybe a DB miss an interception, a sure interception, but it'd be hard.
Yeah, it would really be hard, and people will know whether or not you're faking and shaking, because
Exactly.
you're supposed to make these plays as a professional athlete, and all of a sudden you're not making the play, and it really would be a bad frown on the game of football.
Yeah, it would be, and it's unfortunate because, like I said, we were concerned about Wrigley's mental health, and now this comes out. And he gets suspended for a year. It's unfortunate because he was the majority of last year he was out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's unfortunate. But let's talk about some of the other news. Russell Wilson going to Denver. Yeah.
I think that's good for Russell and Denver. I think they don't have about 10, 12, 13 quarterbacks since Peyton Manning left. And this is give them a solid quarterback that they know that they can depend on. Russell Wilson has been very dependable. He got hurt a little bit last year, but other than that, he's been a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, but here's my question to you. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denver gave up 2 first-round picks, right?
Yeah,
and I
right.
think they gave 2 second-round picks, plus Drew Lock, who I don't think is very good. Noah Fant, who is probably going to be their starting tight end because their 2 tight ends are free agents at Seattle,
Right.
and they got a defensive tackle in it. So it looks like Russell Wilson is going to have to win a Super Bowl to make this look good or look like a great trade, because it looks like Seattle's got the best part of it.
Well, if this is the same kind of trade that Detroit and LA Rams made last year, then Russell Wilson is going to a whole good case scenario, kind of like what Stafford did this year. So I'm thinking all you got to do is stay healthy and play his part, and he's surrounded by a great defense. I mean, they got some good receivers, a great running back. So I think Denver have put themselves in a position where they have a chance to go straight to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but do you think that, and I knew you were going to mention that about the Rams, but the Rams had been to the Super Bowl before they got Matthew Stafford. They didn't win, but they had been there.
Right.
Now,
right.
Denver wasn't even in the playoffs. And you're right, they got Jerry Jeudy and they got
Sutton. They got Sutton. Yeah, they got some good receivers.
And their running backs are okay. Their defenses, but are they good? That AFC West is a difficult league right there, because obviously you got Oakland in there.
And the Chargers.
And you got the Chargers. Yeah, so you
got and the Chiefs.
And Kansas City.
Yeah.
So it is. And I mean, do you think that puts them over the top? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think it put them right at the top. I think they put them up there with Kansas City and the Chargers. I mean, now you're talking about and the Raiders. I mean, you got all these teams now that made the best team win.
Yeah,
that's what you want. I mean, we'll see what some of the coaches change with the Raiders, but definitely Kansas City is still bringing the same weapons to the game as well. So Denver got to produce. I mean, they was a couple of games away from being one game away from being in the playoff this year.
Yes, that is true. So that'll be interesting to see. And then the next one was Carson Wentz going to obviously Washington. And
the Commandos. The
Commandos, or the Commodores, as they're so nicely called. But him going there and getting back in the NFC East, do you think that's a good fit for him?
Well, I know he's going to have some good personnel, some good players around him. I just think if they if the quarterback coach and and Carson Wentz can get together, I think it'll be a good fit. I think he played a tremendous season last year. Of course, the last 2 games they lost last year, but I'm thinking that Washington putting themselves in the position that they want to win right now. I think that's why you go and get a veteran quarterback. I think it's about not trying to find a rookie quarterback and don't know what he brings to the table. At least they know what Carson Wentz is all about. So, and I think, if he can just do the little things right. I know last year he should have held on the ball when he getting sacked and he just tossed the ball out. Little things like that and caused the other team to get an interception. And that really changed the momentum of the game. So if Carson don't do things like that, I think he'll be a big plug for the Washington Commandos.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the question I have. I have a couple questions for you. How many quarterbacks have you seen successful that have been on 3 teams and been traded twice? I don't know of any that I can mention. And then the next question is Carson Wentz this era's Jake Cutler? I mean, Cutler had the great arm, the great athleticism, and everybody got it. That's a question you would ask: is he all that? He's been traded. I mean, he left Philly. He went Indianapolis for 1 year, and then there. And then I'll answer that question after that about Kirk Cousins.
I think too it has something to do with the coaching staff as well, his relationship with the coaches, and kind of the talent pool of players around him. So he going to a good team, and I just think this is a step up for his talent, for his receivers with the Washington versus the Colts. Of course, he didn't have nothing in Philly at the time to work with. So I think this is going to be his best chance of getting to where he want to go. I think the NFC East every year, there have been every year it'd be a different winner in the NFC East.
Yeah.
And so now you have an opportunity with the people that they have in place in Washington.
Yeah, and the thing is, you got to ask is, and he would have McClary, but is he another Kirk Cousins? He looks good, he makes you feel good, but he doesn't win.
Well, yeah, he can't. He's not a closer. I think he wins. I think now he got to put something extra into his weaponry to be a closer and to close those last 5 to 6 games and then establish that part of where they go into the playoff run with confidence. I think Carson's been hurt here and there. Of course, he hurt his knee a couple of times and things like that. But I honestly think he got a lot to work with. He got a better offensive line. He got a pretty good offensive line over in Washington. Running back, they got people in place. So all he got to do is come in, and they just got to create this chemistry together on the offensive side.
But supposedly that's why Cousins left Washington. I know he got the big contract in Minnesota was because he thought Minnesota had a better offensive line, better running game, better defense, and unfortunately it didn't work out. So is there any difference in the situation? Is Wentz able to rally people around him?
I think that's the only question I think in this instance. But I think if he go there and quickly get established, learn their philosophy, learn what they're wanting to do with the offense, and also just start working out with the receivers that they have on staff that got a great tight end. I mean, they got some weapons over there.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a better situation than what Cousins went when he went up to Minnesota Vikings. Cousins did add some more talent once Cousins got up there, but of course, Cousins kind of lost a little bit of steam, and I don't know what his relationship was with the head coach as well. So, but in this case, I just think Carson should be in a better situation.
It didn't seem like it was good with Zimmer. They said Zimmer would, I guess, berate him in team meetings, which is not smart on his part to berate your starting quarterback. But I've never been. My son played with Kirk Cousins at Washington, and he didn't have a high opinion of him. So there's something going on. And I thought, in my opinion, I thought Cousins was going to be a really good quarterback from watching Michigan State and the things he did there and how he talked to the media. But you never know. And that's the thing, a quarterback position, because there's only one on the field at a time, is a difficult position because you got to make people follow you. You're like the field general, and
Right.
people got to believe you. And we talk about that quarterback up at Green Bay that's just got that big contract, which we'll talk about a little later. But the one thing he does is he gets people to believe in him.
And hey, and winning those games, and 39 games in the last 3 years. That speaks for itself,
Yeah.
So yeah, but with Kirk Cousins, I just think it's something that's missing. Maybe his presence with leading the guys, and talking more in the locker room with guys. Some quarterbacks don't talk as much, but I think if you're the leader, you the highest paid player on the team, you got to be all in.
Yeah, and I think that you're exactly right because when I first came to the Cowboys, Roger Staubach had retired and Danny White had took over the position. And Danny had leadership qualities, but there's those guys, like we always talked about, the Mahomes, the Barrows, and those guys that are different. And Roger Staubach was different. It wasn't that Danny White wasn't a good quarterback. It was that Roger was different. And I mean, he made people follow him. And that was the thing that made him successful. And Danny wasn't a bad guy. His stats are really good when you look at him, but he didn't have that. It's kind of, you look at that all around the league with the Giants even, you could have good quarterbacks. And you had Hostetler and Sims.
Right.
They were different kind of guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. You got to find that right fit at that position.
Well, I got a chance to play golf with Danny White a couple of years ago. I was in Odessa, Texas, and he, you could tell that he's a people person, and he hitting the ball, talking, and embracing, the team. And those are the things I think. Those are the attributes that a quarterback needs. And whether you play golf, or whether you're second backup quarterback or whatever, you got to have that kind of desire to want to get to know people that you're around. And I think that might be something that's missing with some of these quarterbacks today. I just think you have to be all in, like I said earlier, to make sure that everybody gonna come in and bring their talent to the table as well. So I just think quarterback got a huge responsibility. Of course, they make the biggest salary. These guys are making $25 to $50 million a year.
Yeah, you're right. Now back to Denver and Seattle. Teddy Bridgewater, he was number one for a short period of time. Now, what do you do with Teddy Bridgewater? Do you keep him as a backup? And which he did a good job. Was it at New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
He did a good job in New Orleans as a backup. Or do you let him obviously go on the free agency and the free agent market?
Well, one of the things that you find out that you got to have a good backup quarterback. And I think Teddy Bridgewater, at this point in his career, he's definitely look at being a backup quarterback. I don't think he's going to bring in and set the teams on fire. He had that opportunity this year. He couldn't get it done. So I think, at this point, he's a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he is. And it's going to be hard for him now unless he goes somewhere, but it's going to be hard. He's filling a gap quarterback. He's going to fill in the gap. And there's a lot of stuff going on with the quarterback issues. Jimmy G, now they're saying that he might go to the Colts. The Colts are trying to look at that and maybe take Jimmy G. Because
I think that might be what the Colts need. I mean, I was thinking Jimmy G was going to go to Washington. Now that Carson gone to Washington, I think Jimmy G, the Colts got they got a great offense. So
on that question, now we can get to the Colts, and then you got a running game, so that would help.
Yeah.
And Jimmy would just manage it, and they still, like you said, they're struggling with the receivers. at the Indianapolis.
Yeah, they need to add a receiver. Of course, Jonathan Taylor, man, awesome, all pro, all world running back.
Yes.
So if they can just bring in a little bit more firepower at the wide receiver spot, they'll be right there at the heartbeat of that division.
Yeah. Now we can get on to the next thing is Aaron Rodgers. He said that they didn't give him what they said in the paper, but the paper was important. $200 million with like $153 million guaranteed.
Man, what he signed, a 2-year deal?
A 4-year deal.
4-year deal, $153 million guaranteed. I think he got what he wanted. I think.
And he's what, 38 years old?
Yeah, he's 38. Yeah. Yep.
So they're saying there's a possibility he can play to 42, but it doesn't hurt him to retire at any time, right? Because he's got that guaranteed money.
He got guaranteed money, man. That's the good thing about these contracts now. Guarantee mean guarantee.
Yeah. So Devonta Adams was franchised.
Right.
And do you think that, why didn't they work something out with him? Because
I think they want to let him have another year under that franchise tag, and then they're going to decide whether or not they want to get him another good contract after this season. That's kind of what they did with Dez Bryant when he finished up his contract. They franchised him, I think, at 12 to 14 million that year with Dez. So they're doing the same thing with Devonta Adams, I think.
Yeah, and that's a good choice. Now the next thing on the Packers is Jordan Love. What do you do with Jordan Love?
Well, he still got what? He still got 2 more years left on his rookie contract.
Yes.
I think you just continue to sit him. Hopefully
he try to trade him.
I don't know what the trade value will be with him at this point.
Mm-hmm. He's only started.
If you got 2 more years, then why not let him keep learning? But these teams are different. They look at things different, and so they might try to trade him. That wouldn't be bad to trade him.
Right now, the trade value for quarterbacks are pretty darn good. They're pretty good.
Absolutely. But keep in mind too, I don't care. You still want to have 2 good quarterbacks on your roster.
Yes.
Two superb quarterbacks. In order to get something happen on the injury, something like that, you got to have somebody come in and just continue that motion, that flow, that energy, and know your system, and you ain't losing out on none of your playbooks and play calling. You want a quarterback to come in and bring the whole playbook, continue to have the momentum.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get into a little bit of Giants news because there's some news on the Giants. They are
they said Aaron Rodgers contract would keep the Green Bay Packers out of the Super Bowl.
No, and that's a good question. A good thing to say, but think about it. It really doesn't, because it lowers his cap value the way he did that contract. With all getting that guaranteed money, he's going to have a lower cap value. So it actually gives them more money to help them get at other positions. Devonta Adams, I think the receiver, I don't know what the actually is, but it's not more than $20 million.
Yeah, and by them giving him, by they giving Devonta Adams that franchise tag, that's going to help them to sign some other players to contracts as well.
Yeah. And here's an interesting thing is what's happening around the league is tight ends are getting franchised, and there is a reason behind that, because their franchise tag or the cost of it is not cost prohibitive.
Right.
If it was a quarterback, I think it was $30 million, but for a tight end, I think it's $10 million. So of course, and I'm thinking, and I could correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll have to check it and research it, but I think for wide receivers it's around $15 to $19 million, somewhere in that.
Yeah.
So I think it is not there. And that's the thing is, and Devonta Adams is worth every penny of it.
Yeah, so. That's why they put that franchise tag on there, because it don't go quite as much against as the cap for the whole team, for the teams.
Yeah, because it was quite a bit. Chris Godwin, the wide receiver from Tampa Bay, got it.
He got it. Yep.
Dalton Schultz, that was from obviously from the Cowboys, and there was a tight end, I want to say, that they gave one at Miami. I think it was Miami. They gave their tight end a tag. So that was interesting because there were quite a few tight ends that got tags because they are becoming an essential part of offenses again. That's telling you something. And plus, it doesn't cost you that much to keep your tight ends.
Not like the wide receivers. I think the quarterbacks, but you all ever see a quarterback get franchise tagged though. Yes,
that's true. That's true. Now the question I was going to ask you with a little bit of Giants news is there was a something in the paper or on the internet today that they're going to go after pursue Mitchell Trubisky. How does that affect Daniel Jones?
I think they're going to put pressure on him because now you got a quarterback in there that can play and have a lot of promise. I met Mitchell a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl. I think he got a lot of upsides. I think one of the things that happened to him was his confidence. I just think now if you put him in a whole new environment and say, hey, you can fight for the number one position, then of course I think it'll be good. Like I said, you still got to have two good quarterbacks. I think it put a little pressure on Daniel Jones too, though.
Yeah, it does. And then they talked about Evan Ingram not being a tight end again. They were trying to put him as a big wide receiver.
Well, they also been trying to trade him for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see if he fit into the new scheme of things with the offensive philosophy that they getting established there. But they definitely doing some things with the rosters, and I think Shepard, they renegotiated his contract as well because I know he's coming off of Achilles injuries as well. I saw that too. So I'm thinking that they're making some moves to make some things work and signing some new players. And I think that's interesting the way the new management is going with the Giants.
And it's interesting because now they're not in love with Saquon Barkley anymore. They said that, hey, if the right deal comes to it, they'll let him go too.
Yeah.
That's kind of shocking.
That is shocking because I just think there's a lot of upsides with Saquon, but eventually that's what the chef on the running back, we talk about this all the time, is 6 to 8 years, and when you get close to those numbers, in and everything is optional.
It was and that's true because and that's why you don't want to give running backs long-term deals. The only ones you really want to give them are maybe one that's a Hall of Fame. So yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Boy, oh man, the wind got you. Uh-oh. We having technical difficulties? What do you think they could get for Saquon? Ooh, I would hope they can get something in the first round. I don't know if they will. For Saquon, it would have to be a team that wants more of a running team than a passing team. But what I was going to mention to Byron before while he's working on his computer is yes, Byron.
I can't hear you.
Hear me? Oh my goodness.
Ain't nothing going on with my phone.
Oh boy. If you can't hear us, go out and come back in and we'll keep it going for you. Well, I'm here by myself, so I can talk about anything I want to. I could talk about them, and we'll keep talking about the Giants. They're giving competition, obviously, to Daniel Jones. They're talking about Saquon Barkley could possibly be traded. What would you give up for him? It's going to be hard to get a first-round pick for him. It's going to be hard. Byron, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I know my general manager said, go out and come back in.
Okay. But I don't think you can get a first-round pick for Barkley at this point.
You don't think so?
Not because of the injuries. I'm not. What? And you would know. What did they trade? What did they get for Otis Anderson from St. Louis?
Yeah, I think they got like a second or third round for him.
So, and I'm not saying that Saquon is Otis Anderson.
Yeah,
because Otis Anderson was a heck of a back. But if Saquon can stay healthy, he could contribute to a team that needs that position. Like say if he went to Denver, he'd be good in Denver, and he'd be in that type of place. He could be a really good back. He just got to stay healthy. That's the big thing with him.
But right now, I think he look good in that Giant uniform. We're gonna try to keep it.
Yeah. But they're trying to make this. This is going to be interesting because the NFC East, like you mentioned earlier, is going to be very competitive. The Washington Commandos are trying to whatever they call them. The Commandos are trying to make some moves to help them improve. The Giants obviously are making moves to try to help them. Philly has got all those draft picks.
They got a lot of draft picks. It seems like I heard about Deshaun Watson's name out there.
Yeah, but they said they're not interested in him.
Okay.
They said it. And we'll find out more about Watson on Friday.
Yeah.
That's when it goes to the grand jury, I think. And they're going to decide if they're going to press charges or not. So, but they said they weren't. They said Carolina and Tampa Bay are the most interested in them. So,
okay.
So, but I did hear that too. But they said they weren't interested in them. They don't want to, I guess, there. And it was someone else. I think it was the Colts. Said they didn't want to deal with all the stuff that's going on with that.
Yeah.
So, and there. So, the next thing is a little bit of Cowboy news.
Cowboys girls. You remember that song, Cowboys and Girls?
Well, it sounds like it was true what is happening with the organization up at the top. But they always messing with them girls. But
cheerleaders, they would watch the cheerleaders in the locker room.
Cheerleaders and other things are going on. Wow. But what I was going to talk about is football. Obviously, we talked about them.
Yeah.
Franchising Dalton Schultz. There are others tight end had hip surgery, which at that age he's young too. Blake Jarwin, he's had hip surgery, and they don't know if he'll be ready for the season.
Right.
Then you have the Amari Cooper issue, and here's the reason: Ezekiel Elliott's contract is guaranteed, but he's only on the books for $12 million. Amari Cooper, after a certain time, I think it's like March next week or March 19th, he'd be on the books for like $20 million. Well,
22, something like that.
22, you're correct. So what they're doing is they can get Gallup and the other receiver guy.
Right.
No, they signed somebody today, but
Cedric.
Yeah. Cedric, they can get them both for less than what they would pay, obviously, Amari Cooper.
So 2-for-1 deal. So what would you do, Jeff? 2 for 1?
Ooh, that's a tough one because here's the thing. When you look at that and you start looking at last season, Amari Cooper, Michael Irvin had mentioned this before, but it wasn't right. For whatever reason, they stopped going to him. He was open some of those times, and they didn't get him the ball. And you had mentioned this too. I think he's a different receiver, but he is a true number one. And we have to find out if CeeDee Lamb can be a number one. And
but my deal was you played 17 games. He only had 800-something yards. I mean, and he was healthy, probably 60% of the games. I think he had some nagging hamstring.
And COVID. He had COVID.
So you making $20 million, you got to give me 1,200 yards.
Yeah. And I think and who knows what happened, but he wasn't up to his normal play. But if you put him on the free agency market, he is definitely going to get picked up, and he'll be effective. And
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
He doesn't go in the NFC East against somebody you got to play twice a year because he's going to make you pay.
Yep, yeah, he definitely got a lot. He still got a lot left in the tank for sure.
And there is rumors, nobody has said it, and they won't say it, is that him and Dak Prescott got in an argument after the 49ers game. And Amari called Dak Prescott the Black Kirk cousin.
What?
Yes.
It's my first step. Well, that might have just got him up out of there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then, that's what happened. But here's the funny thing. When you look at their stats, they are eerily similar. Cousins and Dak. Yeah. I think this is what I think happened. I think Dak is a good quarterback. Is he a great one? That's to be – you great ones win Super Bowls. But I think some of it is schematically too, because they're not attacking defenses. They're scheming defenses. There's a difference. And we talked about this.
Well, do that weighs heavily on the offensive coordinator?
Yes, I think the offensive coordinator, there's some issues with that because if you're not attacking defenses, if they're playing 10 yards off of you and you're not throwing the hitch pass, that's on you.
Absolutely. And that's what I see as a former player. I see that Dallas don't take what the defense is giving them. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I see is they don't move their receivers around and use them like Cooper Kupp and people like that. I mean, inside, outside, interchange your receivers and run some conversion routes, meaning that I'm gonna run a comfortable route to get my tight end open this time, get the running back open out of the backfield. They don't do enough of that. You see some of these teams now throwing seams routes and to the running back just to create the mismatch. Ain't no way a linebacker can cover the running back sometimes just out of the backfield.
Sure.
And if you look at it, Zeke and the other running back, they don't drop passes.
No, they don't.
Passes.
No, put him or Pollard. You're right.
Yeah, Pollard. Yeah,
well, you're right. The one thing Cowboys going to have to do is see what they're going to do. They're talking about all these guys, but nobody's talking about their offensive line. Yeah. And this is not a great offensive line anymore. You're fooling yourself if you think it's a great end. Tyron Smith, he's in and out. Connor Williams had his problems, and he's a free agent. And he probably will be in this, and he had his problems with holding and getting beat and things like that. So
they need to put him in the offensive coordinator. But I know Connor Williams, he had more penalties than anybody else on the offensive line. I know put a foot up his butt for sure.
That's right. And these things are obviously things they're going to have to address. Nobody's talking about that. Obviously, Amari's the big story, and why are they not looking at it? Dak Prescott and Zach Martin have taken, and that's two of their best players, have taken pay cuts to try to keep them. Now you have this situation on defense with Demarcus Lawrence. Demarcus Lawrence, they asked him to take a pay cut.
He said no.
He refused.
Right.
And I want to correct myself, but I think Demarcus Lawrence is 31 years old, and he's had some injuries, so he better be careful with that. I'm serious. He might price himself out of the league, and he might not. He's not a guy such as Von Miller.
Absolutely.
He's a great locker room guy, but let's be honest, and I like DeMarcus.
Von Miller had won a Super Bowl too.
Yeah, two of them.
And he was a defensive MVP.
That's exactly right. And I'm not saying that as a knock against DeMarcus, but you got to know where you fit in. I hope he gets everything he wants. But then on the other issue is that Randy Gregory is a free agent too. And are they going to pay him to stay? If they pay him to stay, that gives you a little leverage with Demarcus Lawrence. If you get there, and they still got to get the safety positions, and they said they're negotiating with Jaywan Curse.
Yeah.
And try to keep him. And then here's an interesting one. Dan Quinn at one time said that Bobby Wagner was the best linebacker he ever coached. Now,
Well,
he's a little older.
He's available right now.
Yeah, the only two players that were left, I think, on the Seattle's roster were from their first Super Bowl was obviously the quarterback, Russell Wilson, and Bobby Wagner. But
they came in together 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that can Wagner, how much does he have left? And that's the thing. And I played all those years, 15 years, but after my 10th year, that's when I went to more of a pass rush situation to save my legs. And Ken Wagner is a every down back.
But though, Jim, you brought a lot more too for your experience and the leadership with the other players, and you brought the focus into practice and things like that too. That I think a lot of people got to understand that a veteran player like Wagner would bring.
Yeah, because he understands how to win.
Yeah,
he understands. But I'm just saying that is he a 2-down back, linebacker, or is he still an every down backer? And that's what you got to look at. And how much is he going to want to obviously make that move? Is he going to want a starter's salary, or is he going to want a guy that's going to be more situational? And
well, I think another thing too, he probably want to go to a team got a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, no question.
Yeah,
no question. Just about other news that's going on is prime time, and that's really sad. He was in the hospital, as we know. He's the head coach, Deion Sanders, head coach at the Jackson State, and he had 2 toes amputated on his left foot, his big and the next toe over.
Right.
And that is a difficult area. He had blood clots in it.
Yeah, I think a blood clot kind of ran in some of his mother's family history as well. Yeah, so those are some of the things you have to watch, your veins and things as you get older. And, because he be doing a lot of motivation speaking, but, man, it kind of hurt to see that happen to him, man, because, he's so active and engaged and filling those young athletes down at Jackson, man. He done brought a whole new dynamic to that university.
Yeah, and when he was with the Cowboys, I was coaching at the Cowboys, and he had severe turf toe. And you know how turf toe is. If it's severe, and that's calcification in the joints. He had the big toe was an issue at the end of his career at the Cowboys and Washington. He had played for both of them. And I think, eventually, and like you said, he might have had some family history. I was wondering if it was diabetes too. I didn't know. Because
I was thinking that too, but we never hardly hear about this. But those artificial turf fields.
Yeah, remember that?
They was like running on concrete.
Yeah, that's true. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that could be a part of it as well.
That's true.
Out there dancing and skipping on that turf.
That's true. And then plus he played in Cincinnati, and they had that artificial turf for baseball.
Yep.
So that could have taken a toll on him. We don't know, but we pray that he's going to be okay. And he, what you can do now is you can get prosthetics and put it on there, and that'll help him. They got to teach him to walk again and everything, but they can get prosthetics that basically take the place of those limbs.
Yeah, it was a player that was here with me with the NFLPA. He's the president of the San Francisco. They cut half his foot off, and they got him prosthetic, and he was able to walk and move, and it was great to just see that happen because it gave him his fullness back. He didn't have to be in a wheelchair and things like that. He still could walk. So
yeah, one of my former teammates that played with me with the Cowboys, he's had to have. He was a diabetic, and he had to have toes that had to be removed. So you think about these things because, like you said, as you get older, and if you have family history of these kind of issues, they could always affect you no matter how great a shape or how much you work out or keep yourself fit. These are some things that are in your family history that you don't really have control over.
Right.
So those are some of the things that you got to be. Oh, we got on your Roku. We still on Roku on the big screen.
Are we on the big screen?
Yeah, we on the Roku.
We're doing the big time then.
We're not in Russia because Roku canceled Russia, but
Russia is on everybody. Russia's on everybody. They're on the bad list right now.
Everybody sent them to the corner and told them to go stand in the corner.
But you know what? We do have a game next year in Germany.
Yeah,
the NFL got a game in Germany next year. So hey, we gonna be global.
Yeah, in Germany they got one in London, right?
Right.
Or two in London, right?
Two in London, yeah.
And then you have one in Mexico City.
Speaking of the Cowboys, one guy called and asked me, Byron, we got to do a game in the Bahamas, Nassau, Bahamas. I said, man, I need to talk to Jim about that. So, man, we might need to start thinking about going over there doing some type of All-Star game.
I agree. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I love the Bahamas, especially the Atlantis, the Grand Bahamas.
I didn't know they had a stadium over there that whole stadium.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Because you remember college games are being played over there. They have a college bowl game over there in the Bahamas. So yes.
Well, we might want to go ahead and be the producer, JMB, and
there you go.
And then we talked about having a great highlight All-Star game, maybe in the Bahamas. We're gonna start working on that.
Yeah.
Somebody said, that's
Marlene. That's my friend. That's my friend Marlene.
Hey, Marlene, we might let one of the Cowboys come over there and play in our game then.
Yeah, we'll get a couple Cowboys. We'll go to Jamaica.
Jamaica, man.
Yes. We definitely go to Jamaica. Ocho Rios.
That'll be something. That's something that we can work on. There, I like.
Yeah, I like that, and we can get a couple of players to go over there and mess around and shoot. We can play like the Pro Bowl. They don't hit anybody, right?
We'll put flags on our players.
I don't think former players like Jim, not Jim. I'm gonna be coaching. Oh man, but that'd be a good idea. I like that because I'm sure there's a lot of talent over in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico and places like that, and like you said, Jamaica. Shoot, they got speed.
They got tons of speed.
Mm-hmm. So, no question about it. And some of these countries that we don't really think about, I bet you there's some talent. Because we're going to Munich, Germany. They're going to Mexico City. Going to London, England. Yeah, there it is. Team Jim versus Team Byron. I like that.
I'm gonna have some track stars on my team. I tell you that.
Yeah, hey, my guys going to shoot. They're gonna run. They're gonna be able to run.
Your team might be trying.
I might talk to Usain and get them on my team.
No, you got to get you some players to get like the bottom of the pile. Y'all like. I'm getting me some players to go run across the middle. We going deep. We gonna go deep.
Oh, there you go. Get the Jamaican track team or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good idea. That's a good idea. The draft is coming up.
Man, I think it's 50 days from today.
Yeah.
They had a real good combine in Indianapolis, and it was some talent. Man, what a pool of talent.
This the fastest wide receiver class
group that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, the fastest wide receiver group that's ever been in the NFL combine.
Yeah,
since it's been in history. And then it was interesting. It was the fastest defensive tackle group that's ever been in NFL.
Man, those guys can run, Jim.
But that's not the only interesting. did you see what was happening with the offensive linemen? How athletic and how they could run. It's
Absolutely.
interesting. But from when we went to the combine to now, they trained for it. We didn't train for it. We just showed up and and did the things.
Yeah, we just showed up and went out there and went at it. That's it.
Yeah. We just you mean that was the way you did it.
We went against the defensive backs. We had to run routes against
defensive. That's right. They don't do all that now, but
yeah,
it's totally different, and I don't think it is as significant to tell if a guy like the kid that ran at 4.78 at from Georgia, he ran a 4.78 at 341 pounds.
Oh yeah,
everybody was saying wow, but his 10-yard split wasn't that great.
Right,
and then they talked about the kid from they're saying now is going to be the number one pick is Adrian Hutcherson.
Yeah,
when you look at it, they put side by side him and Thibodeau from Oregon and
right.
another kid, the fastest. And actually, Thibodeau and the other kid had faster 40 times with him. But Hutcherson beat them both because you know how they can do that now, side by side.
Right.
Hutcherson beat them both in the 10-yard sprint.
Yeah, that's similar. Yeah, that's amazing how fast a start that he had.
Yeah, and that was the thing. They said it was the best start.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran the best start. So to me, that's when you're grading defensive linemen, that's more significant is how they're 10 and 20 yards as opposed to 40 yards because unless, they're running 67-yard touchdowns like I did, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. You're absolutely right though, Jim. But I think 10 to 20 yards is very significant for a defensive lineman, and see how fast they can get there and cut that angle off. That's very important.
But also, I was looking at the receivers; they were telling them in the deep. But what I wanted to see is you can tell a receiver by the cuts, like you always said. Yep. How can he plant and get out of his cuts?
Yeah,
I was seeing the receivers like they had the one kid from Baylor, who was flying.
Yep.
He didn't look as good when he had to make cuts. He was a straight ahead guy as opposed to being a guy that was athletic enough to get in and out of cuts.
Yeah, I call it COD, change of direction.
Yep.
And when you change the direction and create that separation from the defensive back, that's what they look at. That they need to look at that more.
I agree. It's going to be interesting, this draft. I think there's going to be heavy in defensive linemen and wide receivers. Absolutely. Because of the success of obviously Cincinnati.
And then I was gonna say this. I think this group will really make a good impact upon the team that they selected.
I agree.
They're gonna have some surprises this year by adding these young players to their team.
I agree. So I do agree with that. Let's talk a bit. We never talk about college basketball. I love to watch college basketball.
It's March Madness. We in March.
Yeah, it's going good. It's March Madness. There's teams there. I don't know who's going to win on the men's side. No, I really don't have a clue.
It's always hard. It's hard on the men's side.
Yeah, because Gonzaga's been beat. Duke is not. I mean, they got beat last week by North Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know who the top 4 seeds are going to be. I really don't.
But Gonzaga's going to be one of the top.
Yeah, but Baylor's not. Is Kansas, but we know Kansas when they get in there, they struggle.
Yep.
And obviously, from the Big Ten, who's going to be the number one guy coming out of the Big Ten?
Yeah.
SEC, you got some good teams. Auburn is going to be a number one.
Auburn look good.
Tennessee looks good.
Yeah.
So
Houston got a pretty good little team.
Yeah, they do. But
when I look at college basketball, you look at some of the coaches.
Yeah.
But yeah, Auburn look really good.
Yeah, Auburn, I think they look good. But the thing is I think what's going to happen this year because of the uncertainty is you're going to see teams that you never expected to get to beat some of these bigger teams.
Yeah,
and they're like the Murray States and things of those nature, the St. Mary's, teams like that. They're going to really get after some of these teams that are more nationally known.
Right.
I mean,
that's a good thing about March. It's gonna be some surprises.
Yeah. And you got speaking of that, John Moran, he came from Murray State. And
Yep.
I think he's really good. I mean, and so you don't never know. There's some guys that you never expect, and they come, and when it's March Madness, they start to show up, and everybody's like, whoa, how did we miss on him?
It's a whole new season when that March come out there.
Yeah.
Man, John Moran, man, he'll put up 50 on you now.
Woo.
And he can slam and jump over people like crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of that, 50 is Kyrie Irving put up 50 this week.
Are you sure? Are you sure the guy that played with the Nets?
Yes, he did. He put up 50, and he was he did it with the second less attempts in NBA history. Kyrie.
But you know what probably happened to him? The game before that, they played up in Boston. They were bored him.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So that's interesting that he came back and scored 50 points.
Yeah, he scored 50 points. They got 50 points. So that'd be there. That East, that NBA in the East, they're really coming. You got Miami, you got Philadelphia, you got Milwaukee.
Yep.
I mean, the East is tough. Over in the West, you got the best record is the Phoenix Suns. You got Golden State. Mm-hmm. But Golden State's not second anymore. Memphis is second. And
Memphis moving up. They moving up.
So with Ja Morant, he is special. And then you got Dallas playing well.
They won like the last 9 out of 11 or 12 games. They doing good.
Yeah. Dallas is really Luka. You got, I think, the 4 MVPs right now, obviously, who are fighting for the MVP are Djokovic from Denver, and not in any order.
Right.
But Djokovic, obviously Embiid, Luka, and Morant.
Yep.
Right now. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them will win the NBA championship because I like the Heat. I think the Heat's got a.
You like the Heat?
Yeah, I think they got a balanced team.
You like Butler now?
I like Jimmy Butler.
That's where that country boy say, "You like Butler now?"
Yeah. He's a Houston kid.
Yeah,
he's a Houston kid.
He plays hard out.
And he can get guys to play with him. That's what I like about him.
Yeah,
he does a good job of bringing the team with him, and that's the thing he does well. Yeah. Shoot, we getting close. We got a lot of things. I always watch women's basketball. I watched the game against South Carolina losing to Kentucky. That one girl from Las Vegas, she was killing South Carolina. I thought South Carolina was the best team in the country.
Right.
Same thing on the Stanford looked good. Stanford from the women's side.
What about Connecticut? Are they doing anything this year?
They're starting to come.
Yeah.
They'll probably be a second or third seed, but they're getting healthy, and they're a scary team. I think Connecticut will be fine. Then you got other teams.
UTA made it. UTA made it.
Yeah, I know. They won the I saw that. Yeah, they won it, in the Sun Belt Conference, correct?
Yeah, Sun Belt.
Yeah, I saw that, but sometimes that's good. I see it, and Iowa's an interesting team with that one, Caitlin Carr. She can play. She can shoot. She's kind of like the Stephen Curry of women's basketball. She's that kind of got that range.
She can put it up.
Yeah. So I like watching it because it's interesting because it's pure. How they play is pure, and I like that.
Right.
Well, shoot, we're at the end.
Victory formation.
Yes, victory. Hey, tell everybody you in Scottsdale, you're having a great time. You didn't invite me and stuff. That's messed up, but hey, it's all good.
I'm in Scottsdale and NFL Players Association Leadership Conference with all the active players. Trying to find out what's going on behind the scene. But yeah, we're gonna bring back some benefits.
There you go. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Hey, put a little bit more shine on that head. That head at the top. Hey, man, so about
All right.
Friday morning.
All right, man. Have a good evening.
All right.
Yes, sir. You guys too. Great
All right,
show.
Byron.